Have you ever asked yourself, what is the meaning of that curious sign for the British pound? The pound sterling, to be exact, the basic monetary unit of Great Britain. It's actually a stylized letter L for pound? Well, yes. Pound, as a weight unit in the British Imperial Measurement System, is derived from the ancient Roman equivalent libra-pondo. That is why the international standard symbol for the pound is LB. The pound is not the only unit the British borrowed from Romans. Most of the imperial system is based on Roman origins. Inches, feet, cubits, and miles. Romans used all these units. Over time, they simply found their way to the British Isles. The real secret, however, is the Romans borrowed the measurement system from someone else. What most people believe to be a genuine British invention has been used by people since the rise of civilization. The same units in approximately the same ratios were used in ancient Greece, Egypt, and Babylon to measure weight, distance, surface area, and volume. King George IV standardized the British Imperial Measurement System in 1824 by the famous Weights and Measures Act. Before it, units varied with the place, product specifications, and many other requirements. The 1824 Act put an end to it by precisely defining the existing measures. Everyone familiar with the Imperial Measurement System knows that it is a bit complicated to understand, even when standardized. The metric system, for example, is quite simple, as it is based upon powers of 10. On the other hand, the imperial system doesn't seem to have a system at all. Let's have a look at its measurement system for distance. The system begins with an inch. 12 inches equals 1 foot, 3 feet equal 1 yard, 5.5 yards equals 1 rod, 4 rods equals 1 chain, 10 chains equals 1 furlong, 8 furlongs equal 1 mile. The 1824 Act excluded some units which were used at the time. These were the palm, 3 inches long, the cubit, a length of a forearm from elbow to the tip of the middle finger, 1.5 feet long, the fathom, 6 feet long, the cable's length, 100 fathoms long, and the geographical, or sea mile, at the length of 10 cables. Using simple arithmetic, we conclude that 1 mile equals 1,760 yards, or 5,280 feet. Not an easy system to handle, especially considering you have to use fractions to convert rods into yards, and vice versa. However, once we dive into the system's origins, it gives us a clearer picture to the why of the imperial measurement system. When thousands of years ago, people started to trade, build, and travel, a necessity appeared to measure things. They had no tools to do it at the time, so naturally, people used what they had at hand all the time, their body parts. This is how they started to use their fingers, feet, palms, and forearms. Obviously, people realized they had different sizes of feet, so they established standards for each unit. The standardized system passed on from one civilization to another, from Babylonians and Egyptians to Greeks, who transferred it to the Romans. Along the way, the exact units and ratios changed, but they remained the same in their essence. They were based on human body parts. The most advanced breakthrough was made when a mile was established based on the angular division of the Earth's hemisphere. It was a result of the study of advanced astronomy and arithmetic that greatly advanced in the classical world. Regardless of origin, the measurements used by the British were definitively imported from the Romans. However, these did not necessarily come with the Roman invasion in the 1st century AD. Some might have been brought earlier by Phoenician traders, while others were adopted by Norman invaders 1,000 years later. The unit of the foot was definitively established by the Romans, who, on the other hand, learned of it from the Greeks. The origin of the unit, however, dates back to ancient Egypt and the city-states of Mesopotamia. The British foot was different from the Roman, as it was slightly larger. It was similar in length to the Greek and Egyptian foot. 1 British foot equals 0.98 Greek feet. Under Roman influence, the British adopted the division of 1 foot into 12 inches. The term inch is derived from the Latin word uncia, which means the 12th part. The length of the inch was established as the width of a thumb, just below the nail. Besides inches, Romans also used a digitus, or a finger, the 16th part of the foot. This unit was inherited from the Greeks and Egyptians. The basic unit of the imperial system, the yard, was an authentic Anglo-Saxon unit. The term comes from the word gjerd, which means stick. The term yard first appeared in the late 15th century. Before this period, the term cubit was used instead. The same unit was used in Rome, Greece, Egypt, and Babylon. The statute for measuring land of King Henry III mentions the iron cubit, which contains 3 feet and no more. It was the same length as the yard. This iron cubit relates to a double cubit, or the royal cubit, which is how the Egyptians and Babylonians called it. It was twice as long as the standard cubit. The Egyptians and Babylonians used it for building purposes. It was the probable reason it was considered a basic unit in ancient systems and the imperial measurement system. Double cubit was an important unit as it established a connection between shorter and longer measures for distance. As mentioned, a mile was established on an entirely different principle than units for shorter distances. Understandably, there was no way to use body parts to measure such long distances. Measuring distances on a large scale surpassed the everyday experience and thus became a matter of research, carried out by mathematicians and astronomers. Once the mile was determined as 1 minute of arc, or the 60th part of 1 degree along the Earth's equator, mathematicians had to find a way to connect a mile with shorter distances. The solution resulted in some quite peculiar relations within the system. In the Imperial Measurement System, there's a difference between a mile and a geographical mile. Both units are established from ancient origins. The geographical mile was established by the angular system as was used by the Greeks, who probably adopted it from the Babylonians, even though the Egyptians used it as well. The geographical mile in the Greek system consisted of 10 stadia, a unit consisting of 600 feet. Hence, a Greek mile was 6,000 feet long. Recalculated to the imperial system, 1 geographical mile equals 6,075 feet. It is closely related to the nautical mile, which is still in use worldwide. The ordinary mile, used in the imperial measurement system, is the one imported from the Romans. The Romans adopted the Greek mile in their system, but reduced its value for practical reasons. They defined a mile as 5,000 feet, or 1,000 passus. Passus was a unit consisting of a double step, hence the name mile, which in Latin stands for 1,000. When on the march, Roman legionaries would stick a pole every time they made 1,000 double steps. The same system was applied on the Roman network of roads to mark the distance between places in miles. For this purpose, Romans used milestones, stone signs bearing the distance in miles. In the Roman measurement system, 1 mile comprised 8 stadiums. This ratio was transferred to the imperial measurement system as a ratio between a mile and a furlong. Considering the difference between the Roman and imperial foot, we come to the ratio of 5,280 feet in 1 mile. The British obviously incorporated the system that was present for thousands of years and adapted it to measures determined by their own experience. A clear example of this is the length of the foot, which has different measures in the Greek, Roman, and British system. The same principle applies to measures of weight, area, and volume. The British acre is related to the Roman juggerum. The pound is a Roman libra pondo. The ounce, before it was defined as 1/16th of the pound, was 1/12th of the pound. The Roman word for uncia stands for the 12th part and was used in the Roman system to mark the 1/12th of the libra pondo. The entire Roman system of measurements, on the other hand, is inherited from the Greeks. Greeks, too, were heavily influenced by other civilizations they had been in contact with, primarily the Egyptians and Babylonians. The whole story about the relation between the British imperial measurement system and the measures used in ancient civilization may sound like just more trivia. Still, it tells us a lot about history. It is evidence of the continuum in the history of humankind. The civilization we know today is built on the foundations set thousands of years before in the ages of the first organized societies. For more videos on the most amazing forgotten parts of our history, be sure to subscribe to the Intrigued Mind channel. Like the video and leave your suggestions in the comments below.